Hello, this is Miguel from Embargo Man, right? Now, what we're talking about is this. I have seen so many, petitions, and I have seen to say people are asking for new countries at the Epcot Center Pavilion at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. So, the World Showcase, right? It is very interesting. I have seen, and probably if you've seen Encanto, Colombia would be on the list of the Epcot World Showcase to be added of these countries. Will be the first five countries. Three would be in the at the phase 2. Three new ones before the other ones pass by. Like I heard about Brazil and Switzerland and and then one country comes into mind that I'm saying, but then what I have seen, what I got to out of all of this, what would Disney parks would think? What is it? But there's one thing. Do not sacrifice one country that I could tell you what it is, and whatever it is like they already did it. When they did it, they had the Norway Pavilion. They sacrificed the Denmark Pavilion. That Norway Pavilion would be replaced by another one. But do not touch one country that I really want to go. Even though I'm learning their language, do not touch the Japan Pavilion, please. No way, Jose. You could have all of these countries. You could have even include Colombia on the list. But this is the list of the first 5 countries that Epcot Center should put. And in the list of countries, I will put Colombia, Greece, South Korea, Philippines, Holland. Right? Holland, or like the Netherlands, I used to call it, right? So what it is to be settled of all these things, and they even scrape out the Israel Pavilion, and then I even though there's a Holy Land theme park, like there's what in hell it is too. It's going to be same thing with Gaza, right? But these first 5 these first 3 on the list, 1, 2, 3, and then Holland would be either most likely to replace Norway. All right, I wanted to let's just replace Norway with the Holland Pavilion. All right, so what is going to be in there in that type of list is that how does these things work, and then all you have to hear is about it if they wouldn't add the South Korea Pavilion. What would be with the South Korean Pavilion right there is that there's something that I believe is going to be so controversial, is that they're gonna just put it right there in the middle of Italy. All right, and let me tell why it might just in the case to say they must put it in the middle of Italy, right? So this would be expansion of the Italy Pavilion. It would go all the way to the expansion of Venice. Like Venice, and what it would be a possibility would be of something would be bothersome is getting involved with the Laincourt Rocks, right? Getting involved with the Laincourt Rocks and tossing Marco Polo in it, it's gonna be so confusing. All right, they're gonna have a ride called the Marco Polo Adventure. Like how the South Korean Pavilion is gonna be added, but then there's other things that I think they may just add some things also, even though this is the Epcot Center. But this is one way to have the Epcot Center is like you have everything with the future world, the world of cool things coming by, and then this is world to just from the end part or something like that, you know. I mean, sacrificing Norway for one of the new ones, it would be, yeah, it would be either Greece or Holland. I mean, probably most likely Holland. I mean, Greece would be in the phase two area, but Holland, I mean, the Netherlands would be right there and replacing, you know, they'll replace what is from Norway related with Dutch windmill. You know, so like right there, where's Norway at, or where's Denmark at, is now belongs to the Netherlands, to Holland. All right, so right there, this is the only one to be replaced. All right, so what it is that if they want to freaking settle in, is to do not get involved in these two rock islands and adding the thing of the last phase before entering the South Korea Pavilion of the you know, Marco Polo's adventure. Marco Polo's adventure is where you end up Italy and you go to Korea. I mean, to South Korea Pavilion, right? But then this would be involving the Laincourt Rocks. I mean, this is like, I always love to say the Japan Pavilion is one of the countries that I wanted to visit. You know, there's other countries in the world that is. I mean, I know that I've seen videos that, okay, they scrape out Russia and Switzerland. And yeah, I know it is involved with phase two, the China Pavilion, everything like and everything like that. But then if you wanted to put the South Korea Pavilion, the only thing they're going to replace it, I mean, one of the pavilions that is going to replace Japan would be either Holland or probably the Philippines. All right, so the Philippines will be in phase two, but replacing the Philippines, do not. That's phase two area. Replacing Holland, that should be in the Denmark area, and Denmark area should become Holland, not Japan to become Holland, replacing the pagoda with a Dutch windmill, and replacing the koi pond and the Japanese garden with a tulip garden. Like, all it is tulip. Oh, this is Holland Pavilion. You know what? It used to be the Japan Pavilion. Thanks to adding the South Korean Pavilion next to Italy, that you go to after, you know, Marco Polo's adventures, you enter what it starts and they begin with the Laincourt Rock areas, or what it is to say that, okay, this is what they put underneath, and they're just saying, oh look, before and let me talk about the Laincourt Rocks before I will put all this aside, going to the Marco Polo area, right? So the first thing we're talking about is Laincourt Rocks. The Laincourt Rocks. The Laincourt Rocks, what the Japanese call it Takashima, what Koreans call it Dokdo, have been for years in this dilemma that one of them have to go and say that, prove it, that, okay, look, this has belonged to Japan for all this time, or these Laincourt or these islets belong to South Korea for a very long time. Or if, like, put it this way, you know, all it is having a fight over two damn rocks, right? I mean, the thing with two damn rocks, and I mean, we should call it Takashima, call it Dokdo, all right? So it's just the Laincourt. There was like a French vessel, a whaling vessel, Anglo-French whaling vessel called the Laincourt, that like going around the Sea of Japan with those two rocks before the issue with between Japan and Korea over those rocks were settled in with that, and like they're saying they find whaling or so or whatever it is, right? Now what it is, then years pass by, Japan tells their story that this is called Takashima. This Takashima belongs to Japan and whatever. And the others, and then Korea on their side says, oh, this belongs to Korea. This is dope though. What they gonna toss about or saying, if it is true, because I mean, there's always Freemasons from all over the world hiding things, hiding or saying that, they just keep it. I mean, the Illuminati, they just keep things in secret. But they keep things in secret, not to say that, okay, they want to cover things up just to make the drama. Even for me, personally, like I'm saying, okay, this drama, because of these two damn rocks, is hidden by probably a Japanese Freemason or something like that, saying that these belongs to Japan, and the hidden the truth about, probably, if it's true, if Korea was right, then I mean, there will be another San Francisco peace treaty in reverse, but in Italy favoring Korea, right? So saying that and talking about that, this Venetian explorer Marco Polo will say, well, he went there to those two rocks before a boat came called Laincourt came in there, right? So this issue would be aside, and this is the reason why they might just add at the end of the Italy Pavilion in Epcot Center with the Marco Polo's Avengers. The Marco Polo's Avengers is entering South Korea. Where would it start? Of course, the Laincourt Rocks, right? So when you start with the Laincourt Rocks, I mean, this is the two rocks that Marco Polo has stepped foot in Japan, claiming as it is theirs, or whatever it is, or some kind of sort of, and this sort of thing. But what's going to happen with this is that, I mean, you want to add a South Korea pavilion, that's cool, but then getting involved with the Laincourt Rocks, you could have the Marco Polo Adventures, but please don't get involved with the Laincourt Rocks, all right? Don't get involved with the Laincourt Rocks only to sacrifice the Japan Pavilion to be replaced with either Greece, or to be replaced with Holland, or to be replaced with even the Philippines, right? So, or out of my parents' country, Colombia, having the same issue with Nicaragua over an island, similar to what Japan and Korea has done, right? So, but put that aside, and then they're not gonna be involved with that. I mean, the first three countries, or in one country to be replaced. The first two countries would be either Philippines and Greece. I bet for Philippines and Greece, Holland should replace Denmark. I mean, Colombia would be Philippines, Colombia, and Greece. All right, Philippines, Colombia, and Greece, and then South Korea would be in the middle of Italy, and that's how could I imagine there. The only thing they should never touch is the Japan Pavilion. Do not touch the Japan Pavilion if you want to mark the South Korean Pavilion next to Italy, between Germany, but more going towards Italy. That ends with the Marco Polo's Adventures, and then Marco Polo is an Italian explorer who traveled all over Asia, and then he'll travel to China and probably Korea, and then this is where this South Korea Pavilion starts and begins at the end of the last stage of Italy Pavilion. There's one thing called Marco Polo's Adventures, right? So this is what having involved to me is saying, Epcot Center's World Showcase without Japan. It's not like, okay, you just taken away something. You just taken away like the soul or whatever it thinks, because I mean, more be criticized of one country's past. Cannot freaking criticize Germany for what is going on in during Nazi Germany or whatever it is. No, it's not to criticize whatever it is, to saying that if the United States were to give up Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico become independent and then blame the US for other issues or whatever it is, or saying that, oh, like with, okay, American soldiers raping Puerto Rican women, right? So that would be hilarious, right? So put it that way, make it like, don't get involved with the Laincourt Rocks. You gotta have whatever it is. You could have the nothing with the Laincourt Rocks, or never begin with the Laincourt Rocks. Only just the saying, okay, Marco Polo Adventures, nothing involved with the Laincourt Rocks, without sacrificing the Japan Pavilion. The only pavilion you could be sacrificed is the Denmark Pavilion, to be replaced with Holland, I believe. And then Greece, Colombia, and the Philippines would be in phase 2. So, I mean, that's how I see it. But I think that all of you would say, if you want to see the Epcot Center adding 5 countries, adding 3 new countries in phase 2, putting in the middle South Korea. South Korea in the middle, yeah. But the only thing that won't get involved is this. I mean, if you want to get involved with the Laincourt Rocks, you're taking one of the heart and soul of people wanting to like go to Japan and something like that. Like, there's plenty of people that want interesting to go to Japan, even interesting to go to Japan one day, even me, to take that part of, what the heck, where is Japan? Like, you're replacing the pagoda with a windmill, replacing the Japanese garden with a tulip garden, no koi fish garden, everything Dutch related. I'm not saying one of my favorite YouTubers is from Holland. I mean, she comments me on my videos, but yeah, I'm not saying put it there, but let the Denmark Pavilion be replaced with Holland, not the Japan Pavilion replaced with Holland. But then South Korea might have its own thing, not involving with the Laincourt Rocks, and then that's like saying, okay, we'll all have same everything cool, but the only coolest thing about that is that whether or not saying they might have a simulator, it would be a simulation between a new way of technology. You have see the tunnel technology. It would have like a simulator involving with the Hyperloop technology. Well, would be with the Hyperloop technology, and I gotta tell you why this other attraction within South Korea Pavilion would be involved with the Hyperloop technology, right? Is that, I mean, since Elon Musk saying, okay, saying that Hyperloop is the future, I mean, this is a cool thing about Hyperloop. And then South Korea Pavilion put the Hyperloop simulator that says, okay, how you feel from going to Seoul to Busan in no time, in a few minutes, then comparing to the Shinkansen train being slow than the Hyperloop train, right? So they have this comparisons between Hyperloop and high-speed rail, but just comparing Shinkansen. That just like the Shinkansens as a slow train compared to the Hyperloop, and then like then they just even playing some hits from BTS or whatever it is, and then you're riding the Hyperloop train simulator, and then you're going, oh, okay, let's go to Busan, let's go to some other South Korean city or whatever it is. Boom, and then you arrive in the Hyperloop train simulator, right? So it says that South Korea might be the first country in the world to use the Hyperloop train system, right? I believe it could be true, right? It's a kind of potential that one country want to, let's say, best Japan in something, but no better technology than the Hyperloop train that is better than high-speed rail, right? It's just a train in the tunnel that is faster than the high-speed rail, that's faster than the TGV, faster than the fastest Shinkansen train. Then I mean, that country is hunger to just involve with the Hyperloop train, right? So there's a Hyperloop train simulator in the South Korea Pavilion, and then there'll be one of the coolest attractions in there, the Hyperloop simulator. I mean, the Hyperloop train simulator. It would be awesome to see that, and I don't know if it's giving the Japan Pavilion a run for its money, but please do not replace the Japan Pavilion with Holland, or do not replace the Japan Pavilion with Greece. I mean, Greece, Philippines, and Colombia would be in the phase 2. Colombia because of the Encanto, but then you have like one of the biggest pavilion, or the most popular pavilions beside the French pavilion. I mean, even though France has provided a high-speed train for South Korea, and at the first generation, but then but then the Colombian pavilion about the food, then I mean there'll be like up and running time with France over the culinary area. Like they said, oh yeah, this is like some typical part of Colombia where they serve Colombian side dishes in the Colombian pavilion, right? So that's it. That's in phase 2. It's like one of the most popular pavilions in phase 2 would be Colombia. Number 2 would be Greece. And then the Philippines, right? Other ones that going add on for phase 2 would be Switzerland and probably Brazil, or who knows? Probably add another European country or something, or probably Egypt. I don't know. Egypt, and maybe Universal have something to eat with Egypt, but no, maybe probably Belgium or something. Well, okay, or Australia in phase 2, right? But and then in there we have in South Korea between Italy and Germany, most likely, but exiting Italy, ending in Venice with Marco Polo's Adventures, right? So ending it with Marco Polo's Adventures is like, it would be so confusing. That would lead to people in the Japan Pavilion say whatever they say, even though I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse watch, because I know I'm talking about Disney Park, even though it's saying that they will say, it says, beware of exiting the Italy Pavilion to the Marco Polo's Adventures, because one part of the thing is there's one territory that belongs to the pavilion that is the wrong country, that belongs to the wrong country, and we don't want this, and please avoid that area, because that area, or in other words, they were saying that what they're going to say about that of the Laincourt Rocks, that says that Korea's version is a fairy tale, the only truth belongs to Japan, is to, okay, look what you do, people, look what you have done, all right, people, or the folks that work in the South Korea Pavilion. You added Marco Polo. They said that Marco Polo went to Laincourt before a ship called Laincourt went there. It's going to be a freaking mess. It's like, if they want to put the South Korea Pavilion, do not mess around with the Japan Pavilion, right? Don't get involved with Laincourt Rocks. Nothing to do with Laincourt Rocks. Have something else that you're saying, okay, this is what it is. about the Korean culture or whatever. And then the coolest part of the South Korea Pavilion is the Hyperloop train simulator, right? So that would be an awesome thing, and everybody's gonna ride what would be the Hyperloop train would be like, or whatever, and that's would be awesome. The one of the most popular simulator rides from the South Korea Pavilion would be experiencing the Hyperloop or whatever it is. So maybe the World of Motion could include the Hyperloop. All right, so I mean, maybe LG or Samsung would be involved with the South Korea Pavilion. Japan, on the other hand, let it be Japan. Denmark should be replaced with Holland. I mean, that's how I could view it, but that's just to say I have signed a petition regarding to not sacrificing Japan. I mean, one one country would be sacrificed to be replacing one of the pavilion, and it's not going to be Japan. Do not sacrifice Japan because of the South Korea Pavilion getting involved with the Marco Polo's adventures and at the end of Italy, involving Laincourt Rocks, involving all this dilemma, like saying the other pavilion that beware of this, because what they're saying about two islands that actually belong to Japan as Korea's fairy tale. I don't want this kind of confusing with people, because let's say, okay, and like people that don't know is, what the hell are the Laincourt Rocks? What the hell is Takashima? What the hell is Dokdo? What does Marco Polo get involved with this? All right. Yes, I mean, Marco Polo is an Italian explorer that he sailed across Asia. He also, even to include Korea in there, it's awesome that saying, okay, Marco Polo went to Mongolia, to include China and to include Korea on the list of Marco Polo's adventures. And then and then not getting involved, avoiding the Laincourt Rock situations. It would be not to get mixed up people with the Laincourt Rock situation, either to say it belongs to Japan or it belongs to Korea, or not just get confused. What is done, and that's it, And then if they want to, and then getting involved with that and replacing Japan with either Greece or probably most likely Holland. I mean, replacing a pagoda with a windmill, replacing a Japanese garden with a tulip garden and stuff. It's kind of like, hey, this is it. It's cool to have Holland. It's good to have like some miniature version of Amsterdam or whatever it is, but sacrificing Japan and having one country that it's kind of like, it's kind of like bland or something like that, or whatever it is. All you have is like the China Pavilion, and then what else? The Philippines in the second phase, Colombia, Greece. I mean the number two spot of the phase two, and number one, Colombia number one, Greece number two. In the phase two, the World Showcase Pavilion, World Showcase in Epcot Center, it kind of sucks to replacing Japan with Holland, because the people with the South Korea Pavilion, they wanted to add the Laincourt Rock story. The Laincourt Rock story is something that is for years in discussion and whatever it get involved with, because I mean, that's it. That is enough with this stuff. I mean, it is there. I have the list in this note. I mean, adding Colombia, adding Greece, adding South Korea, and adding Holland, the Netherlands. It'd be awesome. I mean, the only difference that I wanted to see is Holland being Denmark being replaced by Holland, right? So it would be nice to have like this thing about a small wind, like a replica windmill, and all those like little like Dutch souvenirs, and probably a bit of Holland or something like that, and whatever. And then you go to phase two, and then you visit Colombia, Greece, Philippines. I mean, it would be awesome. But then in the at the end of the Italy part, where you have the Marco Polo's adventures, and before entering the Korea Pavilion, the South Korea Pavilion, I say it's awesome to know about Marco Polo, but without involving Laincourt Rocks. I mean, it would be like, after all, this is what I wanted to see, but most likely I mean, I would not say it like the people involved in the South Korean Pavilion might become a bunch of dicks. I mean, a bunch of jerks to say. I mean, replacing the pagoda with a windmill, and then you have like Denmark staying alone, and then it's nothing exciting that, like, how in the world you say change a Japanese style pagoda with a huge miniature windmill, and then you have all these interesting saying a miniature part of what it would be Amsterdam, and replacing the Japanese garden with a tulip garden and whatever it is, just because, I mean, that is called being jerked, and not having people like me or anybody else who wanted to visit Japan. Would be Epcot without Japan. I mean, the World Showcase without Japan. It would be like, okay, they took something away, another interesting culture, and then instead of replacing the Denmark Pavilion with Holland, I mean, in my aspects, replacing the Denmark Pavilion with Holland, that means that you have something in there, another country that other people want to visit, with vent small things of souvenirs related with Holland, related with the Netherlands, and whatnot, and it'll be cool because you have something interesting for another country that, called it the land of the tulips, replacing Denmark. I mean, but if it goes the other way around, it would be nice and it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of like saying, oh, well, where is Japan? I mean, well, they're saying, you know what? We phased out Japan in favor of South Korea, telling the story about the Laincourt Rocks, telling the story about how Marco Polo's journey would be that these two islands, actually saying that it has always belonged to Korea, even though Marco Polo stayed there in his adventures in Asia or whatever it is. It's kind of like, damn, I don't want that. I don't want this kind of, nobody who wants to go to Japan want this kind of stuff to say replace it by another European country. Yeah, damn, you have Greece there, right there, phase two, Greece. Colombia, awesome. Beautiful culture of a South American country called Colombia. Best coffee, whatever, even though it has this bad rap or whatever. Philippines, everything about the Philippines right there. But then you have Denmark. I know it's a nice country, but there's not so interesting as Holland. But but just replacing one beautiful Eastern culture with another culture from Europe, I mean, even those kind of like would be saddened for those, even for people who said, oh yeah, they don't want the Japan Pavilion go away because the people in the South Korean Pavilion are becoming a bunch of jerks. They just wanted to toss out the Laincourt Rocks thing. That's it. I mean, the only thing I want, if the Epcot Center wanted to add the South Korean Pavilion, don't have nothing involved with the Laincourt Rocks. Leave the Laincourt Rocks topic alone. That means you leave the Japan Pavilion alone. But replacing the Denmark Pavilion with Holland is like saying, oh, look, this is a nice windmill. You have a little kind of like a small place of tulips or something like that, like a small little tulip garden, and then where's Norway is at? Like it has been that pavilion. Denmark, Norway replaced it. Then would you add? Then I wanted to see Holland replace Norway, and then where's Norway's at? Like you have like it becomes Holland. You have the windmill. You have all this souvenirs related to the Netherlands, not the other way around. It's like that. That's how I want it. That's how I want it. How I want it is this. Is what I want is the South Korean Pavilion between Italy, as I mentioned, but with a cool thing with the simulation of the Hyperloop. Yes, the Hyperloop simulator, right? Yes, Hyperloop simulator. How is it riding a Hyperloop, traveling all over Korea on a Hyperloop simulator from Seoul to another Korean town? Yeah, right. So, or and then Marco Polo's Adventures in there. That was like the end before you entering the South Korean Pavilion. Nothing involved with the Laincourt Rocks, because that way, like, how in the world you're gonna bring Amsterdam to Orlando, Florida by replacing Japan with it? I mean, playing around with Japan and then all right, let's bring Amsterdam to Orlando. Kind of sucks, right? But why not saying put a little like windmill, right? So in the Denmark area, that means when you put a little windmill in the Denmark area and turn it to the Netherlands area, the small Holland Pavilion, and you have right there about selling souvenirs, everything related with the Netherlands or whatever, that is a little bit interesting. It'd be, okay, this is a nice country, land of tulips, land of this and whatever it is. Here, right there is where Norway used to be at. It's now the Netherlands, it's now Holland. And then phase 2, you have Colombia, Greece, and Philippines, right? And then you feel like, no, and something interesting about the Philippines, something interesting about Colombia, something interesting about Greece, right? But Japan Pavilion is left alone. The South Korean Pavilion have nothing related to the Laincourt Rocks. In that way, like, make everybody else happy, It's like, okay, you want to enjoy South Korea? There's nothing involved with the Laincourt Rocks, yes, hey. Is their problem? Yeah, that's it. That's it. But I mean, that's how I want the view. But whatever it is and how you view it, if you want Colombia, Greece, South Korea, and Philippines and Holland, Colombia, Greece, South Korea, Philippines, and Holland, then ask me how you want it and how you want to view it. And you want to replace Norway with Holland, then yes. The 3 countries in the phase 2 would be Colombia, Greece, and Philippines. Norway would be replaced with Holland, and having South Korea Pavilion not getting involved with the Laincourt Rocks and have the Marco Polo's Adventures, they'll be awesome. It would be all awesome because it would be easy. It would be not getting mind-boggling about the Laincourt Rocks and like having just the Norway area will be interesting. Yes, it's interesting, but not as interesting as Holland. But then replacing the pagoda of the Japan Pavilion, turning it into Holland, a wind, replacing the pagoda with a windmill, and have like a small, a miniature Amsterdam or something like that. That's not cool. Why? Because I mean, I don't want the Laincourt Rocks to be involved. All I want is to have Holland replacing Norway, Japan left alone. Korea should have its own pavilion. The coolest attraction would be the Hyperloop simulator, and the three of the phase 2 would be Colombia, Greece, and Philippines. Would be as perfect as it is. That's it. Without touching Japan, leaving Japan alone, replacing Norway with Holland. That's it. And not involving with the Laincourt Rocks. Perfect. That's how I want how it goes. Wherever it is, write me a comment right here on Embargo Man. Don't forget to hit the bell button. See you on the next video. I know this would be interesting of which other pavilions you want to see at Epcot. But please, if it's okay that you want to make lives miserable for people that want to visit Japan and then couldn't see it, and they just want to go and say, okay, let's do something. Let's replace Japan with Holland. Okay, yeah, Holland is a nice country. So is Japan, right? But the one thing in the Norway Pavilion, that's the one to be replaced. Leave Japan alone, replace Norway with Holland, and that's it. Goodbye, everybody, and peace out.